Hey guys, welcome to the Zach and Max Show. Tonight we have the lovely Sable Switch as our guest. She is the founder of the NOLA Gamers, a fantastic organization which provides open spaces to LGBTQ members of the gaming community here in New Orleans. Sable, hello. Thank you for being a part of our show today. We really appreciate it.
Hi guys. Apologies, I'm on my cell phone.
No. You look great. You look great. So we wanna jump into our questions because we are so excited to be able to talk to you. We had spoken to your counterpart Joseph, and we had such a great response from that we would love to talk to the person who actually created the organization. So what gave you the inspiration to start NOLA Gamers?
So I'm not sure if you all are aware, but the GAYMERS idea is something that kind of has sparked all over the country. And I lived in Phoenix for about 7 years. And while I lived in Phoenix, an iteration of that popped up, a chapter, I guess, for lack of a better term. It's not like official organization. And I was kind of on the ground floor of them taking it from, hey, we're meeting at Shane's house in his living room with like 10 people, to us actually developing into a full nonprofit organization. When I moved from Phoenix, I believe last count, there was something like 800 members. So it really took off. I was on the founding board. I was able to do marketing and promo for them, and it became an organization that wasn't just about gaming, but also about helping the community. So every month a different community project was sponsored. And so I had that in my head, as something that I would love to see in New Orleans when I moved here, and saw that there wasn't something quite like that. But I also wanted to get the lay of the land, because the last thing you want to do as a transplant is be like, I have this great idea, and of course no one else has ever come up with it. So my intention was actually not to, when I first moved here, form anything, but I've pretty quickly met the president and treasurer and vice president of the LGBT community center at the time, about probably 3 weeks after I moved here, and we're just kind of talking to them about how I can help, how I can support different things, and telling them about, the Gamers organization in Phoenix, and how, if that didn't kind of pop up on its own, I'd love to do something like that down the line. And they were all like, no, you need to do that now. I was like, what? It's like, no, trust, we're locals. We're telling you, this is something where there's a lot of gaps in the community right now. And, whether it be race, age, whatever orientation, and gaming brings everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is something that you could own and launch, you can use the center as your home base. We'd be happy to let you host here. And I was like, okay. And so it wasn't so much that I came up with the idea, as so much as I was inspired by things people were already doing. And I felt like the community was open to it. There was a space for it. And I kind of just facilitated.
What about it? What about gaming in general kind of drew you to this idea? Like, was there something in particular in your hobbies that you enjoyed the most? Like, are you a big role player? Are you a big board game player? Do you like the artistic hobbies, those type of stuff?
Yes, is the answer to that question. It's kind of funny. I'm a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to gaming. And when I say late bloomer, I was like maybe 18 as far as the more role playing side of stuff. I played video games since I was a little kid. But I was never like a gamer, if that makes sense. It was among the hobbies that I had. A lot of the friends that I had were super into gaming. I just wasn't into it. I was very into the outdoors and that kind of thing. But I fell in love with a little game called Vampire the Masquerade when I was 18.
All
And
about that, yeah.
yeah, it was, and my friend knew what he was doing because he'd been trying to get me to play tabletop for a really long time. And I was just like, blah, blah. But like many a young girl, I was very into vampires. And so, yeah, so that pulled me in. And then I really got into costuming. So then I did LARPing for a while, and still, occasionally do the video game thing. I kind of go through spurts. Like right
Mhm.
now I'm in a video game spurt, but then there's like years I don't do it. So yes, everything but like painting miniatures, because I know that was on the list of something you guys mentioned, and I just don't have the patience for it.
Well,
So, but pretty much everything else.
you got introduced to that style of gaming. Um, did you find that there were some uh, kind of gatekeepers to that hobby when you first were introduced? And how have you used your experience to provide a more open experience for the NOLA gamers?
There was for sure. I mean, I was coming into it during a time period where women in gaming and queer people in gaming were not very mainstream. And, you know, I like to say I was born with an unearned amount of self confidence. So it didn't really bother me. In fact, I was a bit of one of those annoying gamers when I first started gaming that memorized everything so that if somebody did try to say something, I'd be like, actually, on page 45, you'll see that the Auspex chart says, um, which I'm not anymore. But at the time, it was a good defense because if
Right.
somebody tried to pull a rule on me, I'd be like, well, actually, as far as the NOLA gamers go and uh, how we create an environment where gatekeeping. I mean, happily, there isn't a lot I have to do. I think the culture and just the environment, the way that it's set up, is naturally we just don't. I think those type of people are not really attracted to our environment. Yeah, I think just creating an environment where it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to play in different styles, even if it's the game is a certain way. Me and my friends, when we play Steve Jackson games, it's totally okay to cheat as long as you don't get caught. But not everybody plays that way. And so it's just, making sure that you are checking in and, keeping aware. The reason why I brought on I call it my leadership team is because I can't be everywhere at once. And part of their job is to not only just introduce people and make sure they're comfortable, but kind of keep an eye on like, hey, is this kind of fostering the environment that we want to have?
So with your wealth of experience with the NOLA gamers and of course, getting involved in gaming, you said you're a late bloomer, but you sound like you have a really great wealth of experience in the amount of time that you've been playing. Do you have any like cute anecdotes?
Yeah, I actually have a few, but I'll give you two because I
Okay.
know that we have to keep this to a certain time. So the first one is a little bit shorter and really is poking fun at me. So I think it's a great story. When Skyrim came out, I was super obsessed with getting all my houses in the various cities set up, and each house in each city had a different theme. Like, this is my magical swords house. This is where my adopted children house. So each house had a different thing. And one house I decided was going to be like my food storage house. And so I'd gone around the world and found like every type of food that you could imagine. Had seen one of the NPCs had this big stack of cheese wheels, and I thought it was really, really cool. Well, I don't know if either of you have played Skyrim, but the gameplay is such that it is not super friendly with moving things, for lack of a better term. So I spent, not even kidding, probably about 2 hours stacking cheese, where I got it like, this is my cheese house place. It's amazing. It's
That's just
like,
Tuesday for me. That's just Tuesday for you. No.
house of cheese. It was amazing.
So in your gaming experience, Sable, have you had anything like you would say, hey, this is my go-to game to say, let me introduce you to this immense world, this immense hobby that is gaming? Is there anything that you would recommend?
I think it really depends on the individual. I mean, I mentioned earlier my girlfriend and apples to apples. Like, if I would have like just been like, here, come and play Vampire the Masquerade, she would have been like,
What?
what?
Yeah.
No. However, on the other hand, I have a friend who never gamed in her life, and she's my age, but she's super into costuming, and I kind of like tricked her a little bit into getting into LARP because it was a Victorian LARP. So I think it depends, and you really need to just kind of know your audience, if that makes sense. Like I said, if they're intrigued by board games, like obviously Munchkin's always a really easy one to go to. I don't know. I don't do a lot of easy stuff, so that's hard. I usually have to ask my compatriots for easy stuff. I tend to default to White Wolf when it comes to tabletop because I just know it really well. But I also love Planescape and Call of Cthulhu. Not easy necessarily for somebody who's brand new, but I think it also just depends on how deep you want to go. So I don't really have a go-to other than just my own comfort. But I think for anybody out there who is interested in introducing someone to gaming, just maybe try to find some other genre that's not gaming that they're interested in, and then like apply. Kind of like I mentioned with my friend who's really into costuming but not a gamer. So I went Victorian LARP, and I didn't tell her until the week before, like, oh, actually, this is a LARP, by the way. But 3 years later, she's played 3 times now. It's a once-a-year LARP, and so I think you just kind of have to know what's going to resonate with people.
Well, Zach has a really great question that he poses towards our guests pretty much every interview, and I've really grown to love this question because it resonates a lot with both of us. So Zach, sir.
Yeah, so I like to ask, and it's kind of it's not exactly like a very precise question. It doesn't have to be an exact answer. But something I've always found myself talking about is how has gaming saved your life? For me, gaming has been a lot over the years, and it's been a safe space for me. I growing up was painfully shy. Like, a lot of people say that, but I'm talking like hide behind my mom's leg kind of shy. And being able to go to a shop and game really helped me as far as coming out of my shell. And of course, being plunged into the wild world of retail, always fun. It's like, help people or you're fired. It's like, oh, well. So just my question is, how has gaming saved your life? But really, it's what has gaming done for your life? Like, what is it? Why is it important to you? Because obviously it is, or you wouldn't be the founder of the NOLA Gamers.
Yeah, I think for me personally, less so how has gaming saved my life, and more gaming, I feel, has actually made me a more well-rounded and really better human, actually, because there's all the cross-section of people that I probably would not have encountered, would not have just day-to-day, the way I live my life, would have run into. And I think that as human beings, the more experiences we can have and the more differences we can butt up against, the more understanding we can be and the more empathetic we can be. And so, I mean, I can say definitively the person that I was in high school versus college versus now, that, or I like to think that I'm a better human being and that I'm more compassionate and I'm more understanding, and that's because of those experiences. And really the sky is the limit when it comes to gaming, right? You can imagine the most wild of things, and if you can imagine the most wild of things, then what's in front of you in your day-to-day life shouldn't be so weird or odd or uncomfortable. And I think it also creates a common language, just like we talked about at the beginning of the interview, where we've got all these different types of people that live in New Orleans with different goals and different ways they live their lives, but gaming brings everybody to the table. And so for me, that's how I feel gaming has enhanced my life. It's made it better. Heck, I've used my vampire skills in interviews and work situations. I know I'm not the only one, but also use some of the skills, whether it's statistics or whatever it may be, just to try to get a common ground with someone and understand where they're coming from. So I think in that way, I'm very grateful to it. And also having met some of my closest friends in the world are all gamers. And so I'm grateful for that, because they're some amazing people. I think most gamers, not all, but most gamers tend to be pretty generous and giving and open-minded people. So I would say if you haven't tried gaming, that you should, because it'll make you a better human.
I like it. Well, Sable, we want to say thank you once again so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be a part of our interview. If anyone from our audience would like to know more about your organization, where could they go?
So the best thing to do would be to go just to Facebook right now. NOLA Gamers, NOLA GAYMERS. Things have been a little quiet there lately because we are typically an in-person group. We have kind of tossed around ideas about doing, some things through Discord and things like that. And there is a group, like an actual discussion group for that same name.
Mhm.
So definitely go and check there. And if you have ideas and things that you want to see, feel free to message us. We're still keeping on top of that, and we're always happy to put new ideas in.
Awesome. And then, of course, I know that you are personally an entertainer and you have a lot of other things that you do. Is there anything that you would like our audience to know about you, like stuff that's going on with you?
So I kind of put a lot of my producing and performing on the back burner, surprise, surprise, with 2020. But I am still trying to do what I can. I'm doing a lot more community work these days through the LGBT Community Center. If I'm going to plug anything, I'm going to plug probably, just get involved with your local community in whatever way that you can, whether it be to, go to virtual shows. If you follow, any of the performers on Facebook, they usually do virtual shows, whether it be a burlesque performer, musician, any kind of artist, or just get involved in your community. We have community fridges here in New Orleans. If you have
Yes.
a little extra that you can give, look up community fridges. So I'm lucky enough that I have a day gig, so I'm doing well and good. So, if you want to follow me on Facebook, you're welcome to, or Instagram. You're going to see a lot of costuming and a lot of stuff about activism and a lot of stuff about community right now. But I think that's a good thing.
No, that is a fantastic thing. And yes, the community fridges have been a life send for a lot of people in our area, which is fantastic. I want to definitely make a shout out to Christina Quackenbush. Chef Quackenbush is one of my favorites, and she has been putting food in community fridges for many months. And then also our really good friends over at Toops Meadery.
Yes,
So much food for the community. Definitely, audience, if you get a chance, go check out Toops Meadery. Check out Chef Quackenbush's pop-ups for Milkfish, and please definitely check out Sable and the NOLA Gamers. They have a fantastic organization, and we would love for you guys to be able to be a part of that. Sable, thank you so much, ma'am, for being part of our episode. We really do appreciate you taking the time out, and we hope to see you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. You guys have a great night.
All right.